and welcome to another edition of Health Matters.
And Health Focus.
I'm Anna Marie Sinatra, your executive coach.
And I'm Ava San Marco, your practical nurse.
And you're very practical. Yes, she's very practical.
Yes,
I am
I am.
too, I think.
I think you are too.
And we are at Alternative Roots on Main Street in
Hamburg at Healthstock. I like that name, though.
I do too, because it's like a Woodstock, and the background is a picture of Woodstock. And we are at the it's like a holistic expo. We've been doing so many of these.
Yes, and it's one of my favorite things to do. I love holistic health.
I know.
I do, and it's so fascinating.
Isn't it? All the different complementary therapies and alternative therapies.
Yes.
So much information that we're bringing to you, so make sure you bring those pens and papers and write this all down. Because we're going to give you some great information once again. You might have heard everybody, it's a little rainy today, but they're still outside hula hooping, and we got a little hula hoop right behind us. I've tried to practice my hula hooping, and it hasn't gone real well, but I'm going to keep practicing. Are you going to go on tape with the hula hooping?
Oh, yes, I am. I haven't done it in 30 years, but I have to go like this.
I'm going to be out there to watch that.
Yeah, you're going to be laughing.
So before we go around and talk to some of the vendors that are here and some of the presenters that are here, let us first thank our sponsors. We want to thank Matty Mattress from Mattress and More, where he now has 3 different stores. You know, he opened up another store, another location.
I like the name Matty Mattress.
I know, isn't he cute with his little Matty Mattress? And he goes around and he will educate you, and it's so important on mattresses. You would not believe the information. They can go to YouTube and watch these shows that he's taped before too. Because so many of our allergies and different things are occurring. And I know myself, I got 100% natural mattress. I'm not even sure now that I'm out of that conversation. I just know that I'm spending 8 hours a day on a mattress that isn't going to hurt my sinuses and my allergies.
Right, that's great. Yeah, because you never know what's what's going to trigger.
That's right.
Your triggers. Western New York Imaging Group with Dr. Frank Mascaro, Kenton MRI, Lockport MRI, and is it Buffalo, downtown Buffalo?
Buffalo. Western New York Imaging, downtown, yes.
Yes.
With parking, that's one of the best things when you go there.
With parking.
Right inside of the new medical corridor, which is pretty amazing, the whole medical park. And we come and we bring you lots of information about imaging equipment for that too.
Yes.
So that's pretty interesting.
Definitely.
And who else do we have?
Wings Flights of Hope.
Yes, we're Joe DeMarco and all of his pilots stay on call throughout the night, 24 hours a day, to give free flights to sick children or adults in their time of medical need.
Right.
Awesome program.
Awesome. Yes. Very nice, man. Yes.
So I think you're going to hula hoop on camera?
Yeah, I might. I probably am.
You're a lot braver than I.
I haven't hula hooped in 30 years.
I haven't hula hooped in a few years. Well, let's go over and find the woman who makes these wonderful hula hoops.
And here we are again with Maria Rolla. And she has something to tell us about hula hoops. So what about hula hoops, Maria?
Well, Ava, as you know, hoops are fun, and everyone remembers the early days of Wham-O producing hoops for children, but the industry's really expanded, and hoop dance has come a long way, and it's actually a very integrated part of other fitness programs now.
I remember my pink one that I had when I was a kid, and it was pink, and I was struggling with it, but I guess from what I can see, they have come a long way. So how did you get into this?
I come from entertainers and performers in my family, but also started going to music and art festivals and traveling more after high school and seen performance troupes and decided I want to do that. And then I went to the store to get an adult hoop, and there kind of weren't any. So that's what led to the hoop crafting.
Wow. And do you make these hoops?
I do. I'm a hoop crafter, and I do all of the assembling and taping myself. You can even custom a hoop to someone's liking and build you the hoop of your dreams. So they're a lot different than the stuff you'd see in stores. And I make a range of sizes and styles for everyone.
Now, I was surprised at that because I didn't know you had to be sized for a hula hoop. We just went to the store and bought one
Sure,
back in the olden days.
Yeah, well, because now more and more adults are pursuing hoop dance, there is a little trick to it. It is important to, in relation to your height and your weight and build and your mobility, to have something that's the right size for you. And the bigger they are, the slower it takes to finish revolution. So they're actually easier to use. So one thing that I do through the hoop dance that I teach is kind of helping to change the misconceptions people have, because a lot of people as kids use the store stuff and then they outgrew them, and they don't know that there's still the chance to hoop. They just need a bigger hoop. So I kind of
So there's just like an art to it. I didn't know that.
yeah, there really is. And when it comes to my teaching concepts, I feel that all hoopers and hoops are unique. So everyone has their own size because everyone's different.
So just like in Hawaii, they know. So that's why they did it so perfectly. So it actually is a dance.
It is. The term hula hooping, they incorporated the hula dance, and there is, it's all in the hips. But the sizing is actually an even bigger part of it, because if you have the right size, then it makes it even easier. So.
Is it hard to learn?
If you have the improper size hoop, yes. It's like wearing children's shoes when you're an adult. It's not going to really work. But once you have the right size, anyone can learn hooping for fun and for fitness.
Even a klutz like me. Well, anyway, you have another amazing talent, and it is called fire art.
Yes.
Can you tell me about that?
Yes, I'm a glow and fire arts performer. I've been pursuing fire arts since 2006. I started training in 2006, and at the end of 2009, started using performance props that are fueled and lit on fire, such as fire hula hoops and fire eating and things of that nature.
Fire hula hoops.
Yes.
Wow. And you have to go to special schooling for that, I'm sure.
It is recommended to pursue a degree in performing arts or some type of background of that sort. I was kind of self-taught, and over the years learned through collaborating with other fire performance troops. I first worked doing fire safetying. I'm EMT certified, so I utilize my medical background in the fire arts that I do. So over the years, I've trained and worked with other professionals, and recommend that, yes, no one pursue fire arts without the proper training and supervision.
Okay, well, that is fascinating. And I guess you're going to show us some hula hooping.
Yeah, why not? I think I can do that for you quick.
And I'm sitting inside of the Alternative Roots Center right here in Hamburg, and just came out of their beautiful meditation room and presenting room, where I was able to get centered and calm and not have to run all over like I do in so many different outside arenas. And I'm just so excited to be here with Roseanne, who helped to center and balance me. I feel so good. Thank you, Roseanne.
Oh, you're welcome. It was my pleasure. It was so much fun.
It really was, and it was so interesting to hear you talk about the thoughts. You've missed a lot. Absolutely. I hope people listen to this really carefully, because what you talked about, the thoughts and the bubble, and I do so many similar things as well. So share a little bit about who you are and what you're doing, because I'm just so excited to be here talking to you.
Thanks, Anna Marie. I'm so happy to be here too. I'm Roseanne Script, and I have a business called Buffalo Healing Therapies, and I'm a healer. I work to help people learn about how to help themselves with their own energy and how to make themselves feel better through energy work. I have an opportunity to give classes in energy work and meditation. I teach people about relaxing and meditating so that they're able to center themselves and have a better day, be calmer.
And that's
about their
exactly
day.
what happened to me. I usually come to these events and I'm running all around, as you've seen me so many times, and you helped me to get so centered and peaceful, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's a wonderful tool to have in your toolbox. Our days get hectic and busy, and if we can learn how to ground ourselves, to feel centered, to use our energy to feel better, then we can actually help our health and well-being. So that's a piece of what energy work is about.
And I know you talked about the chakras and you talked about light when you were doing your meditation on what light to put on what body part. And so you want to talk a little bit about that before you go into all the so many other different things that you are of service to people?
Sure. Well, for my training through Healing Touch, is through Healing Touch International and Healing Touch program, we actually start out learning about the energy system that we have within our body, and that's all the chakras and then your aura. So most people are familiar with the idea of an aura, but we actually have colors and centers that are at different sections of the body that we can learn how to bring energy to, use words that help activate them, use colors that help activate them, and then we also feel more grounded and balanced. So that's one of my sources of learning about that, as well as a lot of reading and a lot of learning. So our chakras are actually around us to help us, and we can connect with them.
And I heard you mention too that you are certified, that Roseanne has studied for 5 years to be an energy healer, and that was something amazing to me to hear that. So that before you even go into practice, that you've gone through lots of training, and you even presented this to nurses, so when they're in the hospitals helping people, that they can help with balancing their energy and giving some of that loving, healing touch.
Yes, Healing Touch program actually came from Janet Menken, and she designed it with nurses in mind, but then opened it up to anybody who is interested in healing. The program itself takes 5 years, and we are required to practice each technique 100 times. So, and there's probably 40 techniques. So it takes a long time to actually become certified. We work with a nurse, we work with a mentor, and we have to go in front of a board in order to be certified. So we have to renew our certification every 5 years, and it's part of why I love Healing Touch, though, because we are in hospitals across the nation. We are international, and you can receive Healing Touch from a lot of different people, and you'll have a similar treatment. The skills of the healer will be different, but our protocol and our procedures will be the same.
And I just want to mention we're really winding down with our time here too, and I don't want to forget to mention that the beautiful music that you played in your meditation is your very own son's CD, which is just so beautiful. But in this last minute, what is it that you want to make sure that you communicate to our viewers?
Well, I want to make sure that they know where I am, so that people can reach me, and that people are able to get in touch with me by looking at the bottom of the screen, and that there are books and some CDs that we have, my son and I have together, so that the message of healing can get out to everybody. And also you'll find courses that I'm giving. So you can connect with your energy within, you can help heal yourself, and I can help teach you. So that's my job.
Well, thank you so much for being on this program and sharing your love and your talent, and maybe we'll get you come down to the studio sometime so you could share for a whole half hour, because I know we barely touched the surface with the amazing woman that you are and all the work that you're
Yeah, we're
doing.
just beginning. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So I'm at Alternative Roots on Main Street in Hamburg, and I'm going to share just for a few minutes on how to create harmonious, peaceful, loving, understanding, wonderful relationships. Gee, I think I'll sign up for that. So we know that it's so difficult. Relationships are so hard, and with today's technology, everybody's texting and emailing, and there's so much lost because we don't get a chance to really feel the person's energy or really see their body language or understand what they're saying, and there's so much communication that misses the mark. And let's talk about when we are with each other, how much the communication is missed that way too. And I always like to ask ourselves, why? Why, when I'm talking to somebody, might I hear things a different way or take things the wrong way or get mad when someone says something to me? Well, you know, folks, we all listen from a different perception. We all listen from different filters in our heads. And you know why I know that that's true? Why we always are listening and judging and making judgments about different things? Because we can't help ourselves. As human beings, we are judging, assessing machines. We're constantly doing it. And you know how I know that it's true? Stop right now and think about what you're thinking about. How are you already seeing me? Do you look at me and think, oh, she sounds pretty neat? One of you said, oh, I like what she's saying. Yeah, I'm hanging around and listening to this for a little bit. Somebody else might have said, no, I don't think so, and walked out the door. Well, who's right or wrong? Am I awesome or am I, They both are. Because no matter what you think, no matter what your perception is, you're right. You know, I love using this Franklin Covey picture. It's a picture of the old lady, young lady. So half of the room will see an old lady, half of the room will see a young lady. And if you know this one, don't say anything, because of the way we see things. So how many people, raise your hand, see the old lady? And how many people see the young lady? Oh, interesting. And did you know that there is an old lady and a young lady? You heard me say an old lady and a young lady in this picture. Well, I brought a cheat sheet. I'll let you look later so that you can see if you still don't see it yet. And so what happens is that we argue over, just as a metaphor, who sees the old lady, who sees the young lady. Who's right? Everybody's right. Everybody's right, because it's your perception that is framing your thinking and having you see a certain way. So when something happens in your life, let's take a husband or a wife or a friend, a sister, a brother, anybody in your life says something that you kind of get a little ticked off about and maybe react back to them. There's a distinction between reacting versus responding. We could talk a little bit about that. But when we do that knee-jerk reaction, you said something, I'm going to like blah, 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 right back. How is that going to create a peaceful, harmonious relationship? But if we remember, like the Franklin Covey piece, that person is just seeing something in a different way. You can come in, please feel free to come in. People are seeing things in all different ways. So one person is hearing something, you might even be hearing things in a way that maybe not is what the other person means, right? That we're fighting wars over this, for goodness sakes. We're fighting, killing people over this, different perceptions, over religion, over land, over who's right and who's wrong. And so let's look at it even a little deeper. Like if I'm having a conversation with you and I'm making myself right about a particular topic, what am I doing to you? Making you wrong. And so then the question is, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? See, now I'll tell you, as human beings, the sad news is we want to be right. And then we walk around not understanding why we don't have harmonious relationships. But what would happen if we said, you know what, I really hear your point of view. I see it a little different. And then so why is that so bad? Because everybody, you know, there's plenty of fish in the deep blue sea. There's all different kinds of foods that we all enjoy eating. There's all kinds of different drinks. There's all kinds of different alternative complementary medicines as well as regular traditional as well, right? Not every single person does and thinks the exact same way. And so why, as human beings, do we insist on making our points and making the other person wrong? I don't know, because I'm not a PhD in psychology, but I do know one thing, that I've studied human behavior a lot. And I made a decision, here's another little tool, making a decision to live my life on purpose, to pay attention to those thoughts that come in my mind. That's the other little cartoon that I love using. Many of you have seen that. Have that as a handout too, where the doctor's looking over the guy in the bed, at the hospital bed, and saying, we finally figured out what's wrong with you. You're allergic to your own negative thinking. and it's the truth. Well, we were at the holistic health fair. Boy, these practitioners could sure tell you about how true that really is, how amazingly true that is for your well-being and your physical and emotional and mental health too. But let's take a look at that a little bit further too. Those thoughts come in constantly. We hear another speaker talk about that bubble of thought and how it just floats up and goes into the universe. And I really liked that. It floats in. I kind of use a visualization, and I hear it, like standing in the waiting line at a grocery store, or being in my car and somebody zooms past me. Well, actually, I'm usually the one zooming past somebody, actually, if I'm going to be really honest about it. And somebody gets mad at me, and they flip a finger at me, and it's not like this one, or it's not this one. There's only one other one left people usually flip. And I don't understand why they get so mad. And some people actually even try to race me, and that's when I back right off. I'm like, okay, fine, it's not about that. So in somebody else's mind, they're perceiving that I'm trying to beat them or whatever. I just enjoy driving my car fast, 'cause I have a little sports car. It's just what I do. It's not to beat you or to... But why? Because we all think differently. We're all perceiving differently. So let's go back. If we notice how we're thinking, if we start to notice the background conversation. A long time ago they called it schizophrenic. I like to just call it being human. There's little voices going on all the time. That's nonstop. It's our thinking process. We hear about it in meditation, how we have to allow those thoughts to come in and float back out. Or as Roseanne said, let the bubble go up. So I see it at Deepak Chopra and Wayne Dyer. Once I was blessed to be in their presence for a whole weekend long, and they talk about the thought floats in from God knows where, so let it float in. And thank you for sharing, because what you resist persists. You fight against it. And that's another point, let me not forget to go back to. So you thank that thought for sharing, and you say, oh, not today. And you let it float back out again. And this stuff sounds so simple because it's simple concepts, right? You don't have to take notes. You don't have to study